This is the Sapphire branded AMD Radeon HD 7970. This is a 3 GB card, released in 2011, but available very, very early 2012. Actually, the day after my birthday, 2012. Fairly good looking card, although by today's standards, a lot of plastic. Also, as you can see here, it has quite a high power draw, two 8-pin PCIe. Viewing here at the front where the connectors are, it does have both the dual DVI and HDMI and DisplayPort. So I included this one just to show how much copper this thing has. Look at all that copper. Look at the size of those heat pipes. This thing does have kind of a cool, I don't know how to describe it. It's like a claw design on the back of the GPU, which I think looks really cool. Again, my only real gripe is obviously by modern standards, a top-end GPU like this, you might not have done it with quite as much plastic. Today, you'd probably do a lot more of this in more of a metal type shroud. But for the day, it's a very good-looking card. This is widely regarded, at least by the AMD people, to be one of the best video cards ever made. Like, in the AMD world, this is up there with the GTX 1080 Ti. But let's get to the video, and we'll see how it games, and have some fun with it, and yeah, see how good it really is. So, as you already saw, we have another awesome GPU here today. So, we're going to go over our test rig, the run I've been using here for a while. This is an i7 4790K with 32 gigs of RAM. It's in a fairly modern case, but honestly should, if anything, it should negatively affect thermals, to be honest, because of the fact that I probably would have had this hardware in a bigger, more like a Cooler Master half or something back in the day. But big CPU cooler. So as you saw with the card itself, this is the Sapphire, what do they call this? Dual X Radeon 7970. So we're going to be testing it with actually a number of fairly modern games. We're not going to have to do ancient stuff with this because, as you're about to see and find out, this is a very capable card. You know, probably the lack of modern features is one of the few things preventing it from actually running modern stuff even better than it does. That, and maybe if it had a little more video RAM, which this had a ton of video RAM for when it was released, but if it had a little bit more, its legs might be even a little bit longer than it is. But many people consider this one of the greatest video cards of all time. I think the 1080 Ti probably takes the cake over it, but this one is up there. This has a fairly cult following to it, so let's get into the games and have some fun and see how well this thing runs. So this is the first one. As usual, I like to test this on these older video cards as kind of a baseline. So it's running Cyberpunk 2077 really well. As many of us know, the 7970 definitely beat out with drivers and updates later the NVIDIA competition. That's why a lot of people love this 7970 so much. The 780, the GTX 780 could not perform this well, generally speaking. Because we're able to use, look at this, we're able to use FSR and AMD FSR frame gen, which literally doubles the frame rate. And in this case, I don't care what you think about not liking fake frames. In this case, we need it. Okay, we need those fake frames here. It's running really well. It's not perfect. I mean, it's a little stuttery, but it is an entry-level baseline experience. Like, I'm happy with this. For a system of this age, this really isn't bad. To be able to hit this kind of frame rate, and keep in mind, we're in the middle of the city, too. And we're on a bike. Let's hop off the bike and see what it does. It should run a little better. Yeah, I mean this is not bad. Keep in mind, this is a 2011 video card. So we're looking at a, was it 2011, 2014, 13, 14 years? 14, is that 13? No, 13 years. 13-year-old video card running a game that was difficult to run nearly 10 years later. So, I mean, this is pretty damned impressive, if you ask me. So, I don't think we need to really sit here and... I've put it through its paces on kind of the more in-depth parts of the city, or the more demanding parts of the city to run. So, I think this really gives you an idea of what to expect with this on Cyberpunk. So let's head on to the next one. Okay, so here we have our next one. This is Titanfall 2, and I am running it at a pretty high level. 1080p. Most of the settings are cranked all the way. There were a couple of things that have a very high setting that I turned down a little bit, but we've got good anti-aliasing, good texture filtering. I didn't have to turn anything off. View distance far. This is definitely it's going to qualify as a must play. Absolutely must play. You must play this if you're on the 7970 and you're looking for something fun to play. You need to play this. This looks amazing. Again, we're on a... What are we on here? We are on a, 13-year-old video card. So, I mean, this is really something. I'm always impressed by Titanfall, but this continues to justify how impressed it makes me. Oh, come on.
Flight already.
Okay, so we got a little bit of a drop there. But it's holding pretty solid. Who is firing at me? Not you anymore. Yeah, this particular gun is basically useless for hitting guys. Yeah, we're definitely getting a little bit of frame rate drop, but it's not bad. I'm going to leave it where it is for now, but there's definitely some room for... to gain a little bit more performance if you wanted. You probably could also get, you could probably run at 1440 if you really wanted to. This just continues to demonstrate why people love the 7970 so much.
Flight already.
Oh, shouldn't have done that. And keep in mind, this is a fairly demanding segment of the game, so not everywhere on the game is going to be as demanding as this, which is worth mentioning. I really try to test these in the most demanding parts. I'm not trying to mislead anyone about them. I want you to be able to see what to expect when it's under the highest possible load. So that's why I test under situations like this. You'll see me testing with this segment all the time, or you'll see me testing with like Cyberpunk 2077 in the middle of the city. And that's the reason that I do that, is because I want you to see under the highest demand. But this gives us a solid view of what the game looks like, so let's head on to the next one. Okay, so our next one that we've got here is Battlefield 5, which is running impressively well. Sorry for those little colors they on the screen that flash. It does not whenever I change the volume. I don't know why it does that. So let's look at our settings real fast. So I have it almost completely cranked. Okay, let's do this. Let's put it up to Ultra, because it's giving us good enough. Let's try it. Let's see what we get. I mean, let's see what our frame rate sits at. If it stays a solid, 50, 45, 50, and we're not getting any actual, like, glitching or anything, I might just leave it. Not going on here. Got another gun. Yeah, I mean, I'm actually really impressed. This is a game that came out, I think, in 2018, and it's virtually maxing it. This is a GPU that's 7 years older than the game. Once again, demonstrating why people love the 7970. Yeah, we're holding pretty solid. Like, it's not... It's definitely not dropping to an unacceptable degree so far. I'm impressed. I mean, I know some people aren't going to be happy with that frame rate, and you saw there is a ton of room for adjusting frame rate to for adjusting setting for higher frame rate if frame rate's really your thing. I know for some people it's frame rate, for some people it's setting quality level. It just depends on what you want. But there's plenty of space here for there is plenty of space here for going either direction. Whichever one your thing is, you can go either way. It's not bad. Oh, look, another machine gun. Just what I was looking for. Oh, I think I got them all. Okay, well, 3 minutes. I'm trying to keep the videos short so I can pack more of them in. But this gives you guys a good idea of what we're looking at with Battlefield 1. So let's get on to the next one. So, yet another impressive as hell title for the Radeon HD 7970. So we have another 2018 release here. This is Assassin's Creed Odyssey. And taking a look at the settings we're running at here. 1080p. And I have it on high. So it looks like it's generally 1 to 1.5 tiers below absolutely maxed out. But it's pretty good. And keep in mind, with all of these titles that we're running, I'm running it on a 10-year-old CPU. I don't have this paired with a brand new top-of-the-line CPU to cheat my way to high frame rates, right? Like, this is being done. Yeah, it's true, the 4790K is a couple of years newer than the GPU, but there absolutely were people pairing 4790Ks with 7970s. There were all... This card had a really long lifespan. People were using these. I mean, I think the newest driver for the 7970 is as new as like 2022, maybe 2023, something like that. And as you can see here, we're not getting, it's a little bit low of frame rate, but it's not, the low frame rate is not compromising playability with glitching and hitching and stuff. It's good. It's really good. It's absolutely playable at this setting level, which means one of these baddies. Let's do this. I haven't played this in a while. I don't remember how to play it. Stupid cat. This is... Okay, I think they're gonna kill me. I should probably run. No, I mean, and you're seeing, even under a heavy load, where you're doing heavy combat, it's not slowing down to an unplayable level. Which I kind of would have expected, but it looks like it's actually capable of holding that 40, 45, 50 FPS. Let's see here. Where's my horse? There you are. Now, you do also have the option here. You could run a higher resolution with how well it's running 1080, but I generally consider these reasonably modern games on these fairly old video cards. I generally consider 1080p to be kind of the performance threshold. So, but absolutely playable. You've got all kinds of room to change the settings. Plus frame rate, plus quality level, whatever you want to go. So let's get on to the next one. So this is the original Crysis. Unfortunately, I can't show you frame rate on this one because the frame rate counter software I use at the moment, for some reason, never works with Crysis. There's another way to do it, but I'm just going to leave it for now. We're not really... it doesn't really matter. It's running great. And keep in mind, I have it maxed. So 1080p, and it is, anti-aliasing is maxed. All of the settings are maxed. Yeah, I mean, this is... It took quite a while to get to the point where we could run the original Crysis at this kind of level. This is actually pretty good.
You're gonna need some firepower to get past it. Stock up on grenades if you can find them.
These guys need to die. Come on. And this is a game that kind of cast a shadow over gaming for years after it was released. This was still a game that was relevant when this came out, when this video card came out in 2011. Crysis was still very relevant, which is why I'm testing as a kind of the then portion of this. I'm using Crysis because it's a game that we definitely still cared about in 2011. Even today, it's demanding enough that it really it'll really drag down if you've got a lower end system with limited graphics hardware. Even today, this isn't a game that you can necessarily just load up and run effectively on any random integrated video or something, in spite of the fact that the game is from 2007. It still requires a decent bit of graphics horsepower to run it, if you want to run it well. Which obviously maximum settings would qualify as running it well. Start down already? I don't know why he wasn't firing that gun at me. So I think that's enough on Crysis. This really should give you a pretty solid idea of... Oh, there we got one little graphics hitch. It's worth mentioning, though, most of these older games are running off of a hard drive, not an SSD. I have an SSD in here for the higher-end stuff, for the newer games, but for most of these older games, I do have them loaded on an old, I think, 4 terabyte, 3 terabyte SSD, something like that. So some of that might really just be loading that wouldn't be there if I was running it off the SSD. But anyway, let's get on to the next one. So this is Fortnite, which I like to use as my very last one. So on this, we're testing suitability as an option for modern esports. So taking a look at what we're doing, we're at 1080p, and we are on performance mode, and we have view distance set to epic. Everything else is turned all the way down or off. So let's pause it for a minute, and then I will start it back up once we get on the ground and we can actually see what the performance is in game. Okay, so we are back. So really targeting 100, 120 FPS, something like that. Now, keep in mind, we don't have some... Oh, come on. This is not the gun for this. That's just great. They are totally going to annihilate me. See if I can survive long enough to actually get usable video. Oh, I got him. I'm pretty sure that was an AI, though. Which really tells you how bad I suck at this game. I'm not quite as terrible as I used to be, but I also don't get as much practice as I used to either, so that is going to have a negative side effect as well. Oh, what was that? A little bit of a hitch there. It's not bad, though. It's definitely playable at a reasonably competitive level. It wouldn't... It definitely wouldn't fall under the category that I normally would define as unplayable. It's not great, but it's not bad either. Could be better. We could probably eliminate some of that minor graphics hitching if we did a if we had... Oh, whatchamajigger. If we turn the frame rate down just a little, we would definitely get some gains. Yeah, that's an AI. Pretty sure. I don't think he would have let me. Oh, it's not even another person. What the heck? Oh, it's a bunch of... It's... Okay, I hate it when they do that. It's impossible to tell what's what. Okay, so that's two computer players playing against each other. That's so special. I mean, I guess it could be worse. At least they didn't shoot back. One of my pet peeves has always been trying to play against both computer and other players. I really don't like that. That's something that I don't like with Fortnite. It's just... I want to play against the computer in single-player mode, or I want to play against other players in multiplayer mode. I don't really want to do both simultaneously. I don't know. I've just never liked doing it that way. And I can't tell... Yeah, these are... Yeah, that's just weird. So the computer is fighting itself. That's odd, but... In any case, we're still sitting at some pretty solid frame rates here, so I'm happy with that. This one's definitely playable, so I'm happy. This is playable. So let's get out of this and get to the. Well, actually, no. This is the last one. This is the last one I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna say, impressed as I always am with the 7970. Anyway, thanks for watching.